Back home to Victoria now, and Foreign Minister Premier Daniel Andrews, surprise visit.
Premier Daniel Andrews will pave the way for Australia to mend ties with China, announcing a surprise mission to the country tomorrow.
We'll talk about all sorts of different things. We'll talk about every industry that's currently got a footprint in China and many more.
All sorts of different things. Sounds very interesting. Now, this is the first visit by an Australian leader to China since COVID restrictions were lifted, and the first since AUKUS was signed, which raises the question, why is it Andrews going and not Penny Wong? Anthony Albanese tried to hose that down.
It's a good thing that governments are talking. Dialogue is always a positive thing.
Now, sure, dialogue is a positive thing, but isn't transparency, particularly when you're going to a country like China, just as important?
The Premier has made sure the media couldn't accompany him and wouldn't say exactly who he'll be meeting with, raising questions about his intentions with China as Victoria's debt balloons.
And it wasn't just Seven who was saying this was a bad look, so too was Nine, as well as the ABC.
The surprise visit was announced yesterday, the aim to bolster Victoria's international students and trade, but with no delegation in tow, no ministers and no media, it's raised eyebrows over transparency. While the Premier's 7th official visit to China has been welcomed by the tertiary sector, they too were none the wiser.
It is a bit curious that we've got the Premier not going with any Vice-Chancellor of many of our universities have got great relationships with China.
He'll have some explaining to do when he gets back, because he will look like he's being manipulated.
In times gone by, a premier visiting China would have been a fairly unremarkable event, not generating that much heat and media scrutiny. But in the context of coming off the back of this period where there wasn't that kind of high-level engagement between Australia and China, everyone is on tenterhooks to see what's happening, to see what will come out of it. And so in that context, it makes a lot of sense to have much more media scrutiny and much more media engagement on this issue.
Now, these are all good points, and the Andrews government's ties with the Chinese Communist Party are close, perhaps a little too close. Of course, the state signed a Belt and Road agreement with China in 2018, which both surprised and undermined the Morrison government. They, of course, later vetoed that deal. And then there was this blindsider in 2020.
At the same time, Victorian Treasurer Tim Pallas has savaged the Morrison government's vilification of China over trade and the COVID-19 pandemic.
As the federal president of the MEAA, the media union, Karen Percy, tweeted, "The decision by Daniel Andrews not to take journalists with him to China is deeply disappointing. A visit to a crucial trading partner at a crucial time needs media scrutiny. Governments across Oz pay lip service to press freedom and the public's right to know." And she's correct. It's highly unusual, extraordinary even, for a Premier or a Prime Minister to go on an overseas official business trip and not take journalists. It's an insult to the people of Victoria and an affront to free and fair reporting. But some in the profession couldn't help but have a dig at media organisations that have held Andrews to account. Journalism academic Margaret Simmons wrote in The Guardian, "Of course it would be better for Andrews to take some media. I agree that his refusal to do so is a worrying sign of increasing arrogance from this long-term dominant Premier. But here's the thing. Would they do a good job, or would it be all Chairman Dan, binary thinking, innuendo and local political BS? Spare me." And ABC presenter Jonathan Green, sneeringly tweeted, "He could take 9 journos and watch them take on the surrounding Red Menace, or someone from the Herald Sun who'd be obsessed with watching Andrews on stairs. 'Cause, you know, the Fourth Estate just contributes so much."